Welcome to Ear Biscuits, the podcast where two lifelong friends talk about life for a long time. I'm Rhett.
And I'm Link. This week at the round table of dim lighting, we are talking about your first kiss stories and ours as well. We're gonna get all those because this is our first episode back from taking a 3-week 2020 break.
A 3-week break. We took a 3-week break.
And speaking of first, right at the top, boy, it sounded a little weird. You added a little something.
Was different?
I did because we've discussed it. Not as much as I would be comfortable, not as much as I needed to be comfortable enough.
I'm very proud of you that we were.
I just like going for it.
We remembered.
We decided to put the slogan, new slogan at the top.
Well, we actually talked about this like a year ago that we were going to try to find a way to encapsulate what this podcast is, so anybody who happens to be tuning in for the first time would understand what it is right from the top.
Yeah, but it's hard to know. It's when you're doing it and you've done this podcast for so long and you've done it in different ways, and I also have done it. It's kind of hard to know. You're real close to it, and we talk about so many things and have tried so many things that it's hard to say, well, this is what this podcast is, but that's what we've landed on. Maybe it will help you as you tell people about this podcast that you enjoy listening to. Two lifelong friends, nope, not lifelong. Not best friends though. Two lifelong best friends. Well, we are best friends.
We are, but my vote was to not include it in this just because it sounds like a better slogan without
talking about life for a long time.
The podcast where two lifelong friends talk about life for a long time.
Not a really long time.
No, just a long time. And by a long time, we mean just like podcast length.
Like an hour. So it's not really a long time.
No, well, if you were told you need to go talk to this person, and then you were like, well, how long? And somebody said an hour.
Well, that's a long time. But if you said you need to listen to this podcast where two lifelong friends talk about life for a long time, be like, whoa, it's a podcast where they talk for a long time, so you're talking like 3 hours?
No, you're taking the long
and applying it to
signifier
podcasts.
And applying it across all podcasts. I'm just talking about normal conversations.
Standard conversational podcast is an hour-ish.
And the most popular podcast in the world, by the way, is like 3 hours on average.
Yeah, so this isn't an hour's not a long time. So
that's good. And what I'm saying is it's good. It's good.
It's kind of like leading with a negative. It's like, they talk for a long time. You'll have to get used to that. No, hold on, it's just an hour? Oh, that's just a podcast.
This is why I'm glad we didn't have to discuss it, because this is what the discussion would have been, and then you would have lost heart. But you would have gotten
frustrated.
But I love the fact that you gave in and we just said it.
I haven't given in. It can change. Welcome to Ear Biscuits, where two lifelong best friends talk about life for an hour.
So I don't have any problem. You keep adding best, and you are my best friend, and we are best friends.
And I'm changing the second part too. I'm not practicing what you told me, I'm iterating.
Okay, but that doesn't have—
Welcome to Ear Biscuits.
There's no wordplay in that.
The podcast where two lifelong friends talk about, not discuss.
Yep.
Discuss is a little too self-important. It's like, oh, these are important topics, and we're gonna turn them over, and we're gonna come to conclusions. No, we're just talking.
Right, I never said discuss. You added that.
Yeah, you know what?
But you've also taken out life for a long time, which is kind of the only reason I liked what I came up with.
The podcast where two lifelong friends talk about life for a long time.
You like it. You do like it.
I was kind of searching for it.
But you found it because it's natural.
I need to just go for a drive and say it about 80 times.
Is that how you do things?
So what if it is?
There's so much else in life to experience.
When you can't, no, it's just that's how I internalize something that you have to say the same way a lot. You underestimate. You came up with this catchy phrase and it made sense in your mind, but then I have to transfer it to my mind. If I'd have come up with it, you would have to make sense of it in your own mind. You'd have to come to terms with it.
I don't think it's a lot to make sense of, though.
And if that required you driving and talking to yourself, then
wouldn't.
I wouldn't ridicule you.
I think it would have required you telling it to me, and then I would have been like, that's good.
Can we start over, but me say that part and you say the other part?
Yeah. I will buy your lunch if you get it right. If you get it exactly right on the first time, I will buy your lunch.
What? Can I pick what it is too?
Yeah.
Okay. Even if it's something that's not very healthy.
Even if it's unhealthy. I don't believe you're gonna get it right.
Okay, here we go. Welcome to Ear Biscuits, the podcast where two lifelong friends discuss...
No! I knew it!
Welcome to Ear Biscuits, where two lifelong friends talk about life for a long time.
That was it. But
if you consider 60 minutes or so a long time.
You don't get your lunch now.
I get a lunch.
I'm so shiny
I'll
right
just
now.
pay for it.
Let me get it. I'm gonna get a tissue.
The second part of this is, fine, go get a tissue.
Well, we had to cut the AC off because, again, we're not in our studio.
Well, we haven't said that. We also said, this week at the Round Table of Dim Lighting, and I don't know if it sounds a little different, but if you're watching this, it does look different because we're not at the Round Table of Dim Lighting. That's the other thing. This is another first. We are in our creative house. Now, this is, we got everything set up. We even got the sign here. This is not a permanent move, by the way. We're going back to the Round Table of Dim Lighting.
What if, it could be.
It could be, but so far I don't like it.
It's a move out of necessity. There's construction going on at the studio right now, including in the Ear Biscuits room. And so we have moved things over, but we didn't want it, we actually took some time so that it would be a better experience. We're not using our USB mics. We're using the actual setup that we typically use. And we did bring the sign, like Link said, and there's some soundproofing, so hopefully it doesn't sound so echoey in here. But
we're a little close to each other.
We're a little closer, and the lighting is not dim.
I could easily poke both of your eyes out.
This is not the Round Table of Dim Lighting. It is a round table, though.
We talked about bringing the round table, and then they tried to disassemble it, and
they realized somebody had glued it together.
Yeah, it cannot come out of the room without being destroyed.
Well, you could probably if you just cut the legs off and then refasten them.
Yeah, reglue them.
Yeah.
So here we are. We've already experienced two big firsts. A new catchphrase explanation at the top of the episode, and being in here for the first time. That's just by way of summary. Now we can move forward. I think that's what we decided to talk about first kisses because we were talking about it being the first episode back from our break. And we do have some stories from you of your first kisses. And we'll get into all that in a little bit, but.
Wasn't much of a break. I mean.
It's not really our first, usually when we take a break and we come back, we have so much to update each other on.
Well, and it's also less than it was a 3-week break for you, the listener, but it's less than 3 weeks since we recorded the last podcast of the last season. So, but I think it's a there's nothing is happening.
This is the feeling of COVID life.
Yeah,
you're looking for something to be new.
Summer,
and even when you think things are going to be new, especially in California, it's you got to pull it back. And I agree with the pullback.
Yeah.
But it's just disheartening.
Well, I think there's something happened when summer rolled around. I mean, first of all, everybody had this secret hope that the virus would go away during the summer, right? And there was some, even though scientists were saying that probably wouldn't happen, there's some reason to believe that viruses wouldn't be as serious during the summer, but it turns out that doesn't have any effect on the coronavirus. So, but just the fact that even when you live in California, and it's not like there's a real big seasonal change, but life is different during the summer, right? The kids are out of school and you go on vacation, you travel. We were planning on going back to North Carolina during July and seeing our families, and that's not happening. And our kids were already out of school, and they're still just out of school. So they're at home, and you see the same people all the time.
I remember, I mean, I'm trying to figure out, I'm at a different place now. I remember when we hit day 50, and I think it was in a vlog. I don't know if it made the edit, but I was like, 50 days in quarantine. And I no longer count. I no longer have any interest in knowing how many days it's been because, we've been very conservative in terms of like staying quarantined. And so even as some things loosen up, not for us.
I mean, we don't even, and this is not to judge anyone, but this is just in an effort to keep our crew safe when we get together and shoot. But like, we don't even go to the grocery store. Like, we don't go in any place. The only place I've been indoors, with the exception for like maybe 3 minutes at a bike shop that had 2 people inside of it, other than my house, that's it. We don't go inside. We get our groceries delivered or we pick them up curbside.
Yeah. It's just more of the same.
Yeah.
And I no longer count. I mean, are you counting?
I did not count originally, so I wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah, because at 50 days, I was like, 50 days, what a huge deal.
We were talking about this earlier, but and I'm not a routine-oriented person, right? I don't like to do the same thing every day. But something about us not traveling and not doing much besides shooting GMM, shooting this show, coming to the creative house and doing the stuff that we're doing like on TikTok or the social media stuff. It's made my mornings way more predictable. Right, and so I'm not going to the gym. I'm working out in my garage. I'm doing my back stuff, my exercises, my meditation, and I've never done those. Like, you get the little alerts on your app that say that like
it's time to meditate,
or 10 days in a row, or 20 days in a row.
Yeah, I
think I got to like 30 days in a row at one point. Skipped a day, had to start over. But I've never been that consistent with any of those things. Even though I'm stir crazy, there's something about getting into that rhythm of like exercising and meditating and actually like having time for reflection and like journaling even journaling. I feel like I'm in a pretty good place.
Yeah, and that makes me angry because at myself, not at you, because the opposite happened with me like right at the beginning. And I talked about this. I was like, I'm buckling down on routine because I always love routine, and it's like I now have opportunity to do more of the things I want to do, incorporating in my routine every day. I can work out and meditate on the same day, whereas before I would have to alternate or something like that. And I went, I think it was 50 days in a row meditating because the app kept up with that.
That's a lot.
And then after that, it says your record was that, and now you've done 2 days in a row.
Yeah, you gotta work back up to it.
I've never done more than 4 days in a row since I broke the streak of 50.
Oh.
And I was working out, and I stopped doing that. I just got out of that because my shoulders started hurting again, and I got discouraged. And then it's like, oh, you sleep a little bit later, and then you just get I get down on myself about it. So I'm still doing, I try to, and then I was like, as long as I just walk every day, you got to keep doing something.
Right.
You got to stay active. And I did, and so I just shifted from working out because of my shoulder to just walking and listening to a book. And then I got done with my book and it started getting really hot, really early.
Yeah.
And and now I don't.
It's very hot in this room. Can I just say that?
I like it.
Like I worked out this morning. So my internal temperature it's really high right now.
Yeah, see, look at me. You shouldn't work out, man.
I'm like sweating.
You just wake up a little bit later. Don't feel as bad about yourself. I mean, it's like there's like a flirtation with the form of depression here. I think it's because that's just the natural. I mean, when you're cooped up and that's not your way of life, it's difficult.
Well, and that's the kind of, I was talking about this in therapy. I was like, I feel kind of, I do feel a little guilty, right? Because the average person, most people I know, are having a really difficult time. And I thought oh man, this is gonna be really difficult for me because I like things to be shaken up. I like to go places. I like to go out. I don't like eating at home. You know what I'm saying? But all I'm doing is eating at home.
Yeah.
But to me, it's a testament to the power of exercise and meditation. I don't know which one is more, but something about, there is this prophylactic effect of exercise on your mental well-being and exercise and meditation.
What you mean like a
condom for your mind? No, but what I'm saying is that my experiences right now, the circumstances, and I'm not saying I haven't been down and I haven't had days of depression and sort of just like listlessness and just feeling like I can't get motivated. I mean, there's been a couple of times, we're working on a couple of things that require some writing, and some days it'll be like, oh, I could do this all day, and then some days it'll be like, I got nothing for this. Which is but that's sort of typical anyway, right? You don't always have it. But I was talking to my therapist and saying that there's just something about, I've never ever been this consistent with my like daily practice of exercise and meditation. And I'm experiencing the benefits of it. Like I said, I feel guilty, but also I'm reminded that when things do get back to normal, because we will start going into the office, we'll start traveling again, we'll start going to things that kind of shift your schedule around, knock you out of your routine, getting home late from something. Like getting home late, what is that like? I'm home every single night I'm home already.
Yeah.
And so the idea of having that routine shaken up, and the amount of, and walking too. I mean, like I'm doing a bunch of walking, and I didn't do any walking at all. Like I'm seeing parts of the neighborhood that I've never seen. And so I have this like desire to like, okay, how do I hold on to this? Because I feel like if I can take this practice into my normal busy life when things get normal again, I'm gonna be better off. But I know I'm not gonna be able to keep up with it. It's just the fact that I have the freedom to do it is the only reason that I'm being so consistent right now.
But it's so hard to process what you're saying, because like it does make me, like I said, it makes me feel angry or just frustrated, because I just feel like it's hard to get if you're not in that place, hearing somebody say they're in that place doesn't encourage you to be in that place. It just, at least for me, it's like, well, I was like, I would be like, well, I think if I started working out and doing something more consistently, I think that would help me. But maybe I just need to say, it's okay to just not do that for a little while, And then when it is okay, because I have to be ready to launch back into something. But I do think I feel the cumulative problems associated with not doing that.
Right.
And because I do think it spills into, you get so antsy with everything else that we are not able to do in the way we want to do it.
Yeah.
That's
the weird thing. The fact that we're not working on something that is taking us out of the office and into meetings, and you know what I'm saying? Like that's
people's interaction.
That's like what I live for, is the dynamic nature of our jobs, right? I mean, we have a lot that is the same over and over again, but we have a lot that makes it very dynamic, and it makes it interesting, and you're collaborating and you're trying new things, and most of the things people never see, but we're working on things. Mm-hmm. And that's why I can only go back to, well, it's because I'm exercising every single day. It's like I'm not having time to let those thoughts and those frustrations, which under any other circumstances would make me feel down and make me feel depressed. So yeah, to me, it's just like, okay, I got to remember this. I just got to remember it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sorry
I'll be better
if I made you feel worse. But I'm just saying.
Hey, you're speaking your truth. It's separate from me.
And all I'm saying is that, as someone who has thankfully not stopped these processes, I think that's the only thing keeping me together right now. I think that's the only, because it's definitely not my circumstances.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, it's like we don't have nearly as many worries as a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's let's move on.
We're gonna talk about kisses. First kisses. But first we're gonna talk about mythical.com. It's a website we started a while back.
Lots of good stuff. There's always something to surprise you at mythical.com. The Good Mythical Summer t-shirt. Check that out. This thing will make you happy. I think, sometimes it's just about putting on the right thing. Deciding to get fully dressed and just seem ready for life. Like brush your teeth, put on some clothes. And if you put on the right shirt, even though you may not be experiencing the summer that you're used to, the Good Mythical Summer t-shirt might be that little extra thing that you needed.
We're not doing it in a tank top this year, right? We don't have a tank option? Because
I don't know.
I could use a tank top right now. Like I'm feeling like
there's some tank options that are going to be happening.
It's so hot under my arms right
now. In the Mythical store.
There's tank options?
I think that's in the works, yeah. But I don't know if it's of this shirt. I can't remember.
I request one of those.
You got some water skiing fish head people.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just fun.
Mythical.com.
You know what? I feel better now. I feel totally better.
You thought about selling t-shirts and that made you feel better. Before we talk about kisses, we didn't talk about what's on your nose.
Is it noticeable?
I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I asked you about it and you were like, I'll tell you on the podcast.
Okay, so
I have to ask you.
Is it a scab?
It's a scratch.
Because when I got up, it was like a bloody, when I got up this morning, it was a bloody thing.
It looks like
the end of my nose just had a blood scab. Oh, really?
It looks like you just got scratched by a bobcat.
Last night.
Was it a bobcat?
No, it was a tree. I was throwing some frisbee with my boys. We like to go out and throw some frisbee,
In the street?
In the street, yeah. And linking through the frisbee up in the tree. Mm. And it was just high enough where if I jumped, I think I could grab the frisbee because I shook the limbs in the lemon tree and it didn't fall.
And that's not a euphemism. You actually have a lemon tree.
Right. And then I was like, I can jump and I can grab it. But what I didn't take into account was in between where I would jump and grab it, there were a bunch of other limbs.
Yeah.
So when I jumped up,
the lower limbs they call
the
those.
lower limbs that were right there. When you're focusing on something, things closer to you get out of focus.
Just let this be a lesson.
So I raised my hand and it was like Superman taking off, like whoosh, like fist in the air. Except that all of these limbs that were apparently just inches from my face before I started to jump.
Were now in your face.
Were then, I jumped right into limbs.
It could have been worse.
Thank God I wear glasses.
Right.
I'm constantly, even if I had 20/20 vision without glasses, it turns out I would need to wear them just for like
Kurt Rambis.
Eye protection.
Yeah.
I could have lost my eyesight last night. But instead it hit my glasses and it hit the end of my nose and I'm like, man, that really hurt. And when I went inside, there was like a big bloody spot there on the end of my nose. There's a life lesson here. Don't get so focused on the frisbee that you lose sight of the limbs right in front of your face.
I think the life lesson is use a broom. Get a broom.
Yeah, that's
Why jump when you can get a broom? This morning, interesting that we had similar situations. This morning, I had to grab a suitcase for my wife, which we keep stacked up on this shelf in the garage.
Okay.
And because she's taking a little beach trip with the kids.
A sabbatical from you.
And then later we'll join them. But so it's up high and I was like, I can't reach that. I could potentially jump to grab it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm 42.
There are limbs in your face?
I'm 42. I don't jump for things. So many things could go wrong. So I grabbed a golf club because that was the thing that was closest to me, but I couldn't get either side, neither the grip nor the club head,
underneath,
to get under the handle because the handle was one of those away suitcases, and so they're like flush until you pull on them.
You got a step ladder?
Yeah, but that was on the other side
of the garage.
And
oh goodness. I'm 42, you can't walk across your garage.
Right. Well,
Mr. Still working out every day can't walk over to a step ladder.
No, I can. It's just, I don't know if I should.
Okay.
But then I was like, shoot, man, I actually did think to myself, you've been working out. You can jump. You can jump up there. And thankfully there were no lower limbs in the way. There was nothing but air between me and the suitcase.
You jumped?
I jumped, and it was like, first try, slipped my fingers right under the handle and beckoned the suitcase my way. And then when I came back down, I did the smart thing. I released as I was coming back down so as to leave it dislodged but not falling on me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to do a baby jump, grab it and pull it down.
It hit you in the face?
No
Okay,
facial injuries.
No life lesson to be learned, I guess.
No, I just got the suitcase.
I think what you described is not unlike a first kiss. You got to really work up your gumption. You got to convince yourself that you can
think about it.
You can go for it, and then you got to reach up, and you got to have a gentle sort of caress.
Well, you should be gentle.
Then you got to.
Based on some of these stories, that is not always the case.
The moment where you can really latch on is when you should let go. And then go for a second delicate jump.
You talking about a tease?
No, just, there's plenty of time for a second kiss. The first kiss should not try to be the end all be all. That's virtually impossible. Now, we've done an episode, I believe it was episode 114, about first kiss stories.
Uh-huh.
Now when we decided to do this episode, we were like, it's our first episode first kisses, let's do that. And then we didn't even realize we had done an episode.
Right. This is not an uncommon issue
until Kiko pointed it out.
Right.
Because I think subconsciously we're looking for any chance to talk, and our wives support this assertion, to talk about our first kisses or our first girlfriends or our second girlfriends. We always go back to them. But in that episode, we did share our first kiss stories. I think we can revisit them a little bit. If you haven't heard that, we'll give you the gist of it and maybe have a different take on it. If you're really interested, you can go back and listen to that. We had a couple of stories from listeners in there, and then we had a couple of crew members come on and tell their stories. But we got some good stuff from you guys.
Yeah, so we'll keep our recounting our stories relatively short since we told them before, and we've actually told them outside of the podcast as well. But the update on my story is that you actually had the privilege of being with me when we visited the location of my first kiss during our trip back to Bowie's Creek, and I invited you to reenact it with me. And then we showed that on.
Well, you made me hold your hand, and then there was no kissing.
Right, that's true.
But I wasn't comfortable with getting close to that.
Yeah, I could tell.
It was at the
fountain.
So that video's on an episode of LTAT that aired after our Bowie's Creek documentary episodes from, I guess, last year.
But I'm going to give you a little background that I'm not sure I've given before, and of course. I had begun dating, or going with is what we called it at the time, Amber, and I knew that tonight was the night. I don't know how long we'd been going out, but it was like, you start going with somebody and then you start kissing them. This is the order of things.
Well, the order of things is that I date Amber and kiss her first.
Right.
She's my first kiss, and then you date her after me, and she becomes your first kiss.
Did you actually date her?
Yeah.
For how long? But you just kissed her that time and then probably didn't kiss her again.
Well, right
or wrong? I can't imagine that you kissed her again. That would be very surprising to me.
I don't remember.
Because that was 7th grade.
Yeah, it was 7th grade. I don't think I kissed her again.
I did. Do you want to tell your story first?
It was at It was at a birthday party at the Rueton building, and there was like a big open dance floor.
What is a Rueton?
Nobody was dancing. I don't know. It's people who.
Is it like they broke off from the Puritans? It's like, we're not quite as pure as the Puritans, or maybe they ruined the Puritans.
Yeah, I think they decimated.
They decimated the Puritans.
They tainted the Puritans.
We Ruetoned them. So it's like a place of debauchery, which is interesting. Is why you kissed there.
We were sitting beside each other, shoulder to shoulder, in these like folding chairs, and that were like on the edge of a dance floor that nobody was dancing on, and
the best.
Michael and Anna were sitting next to us, and basically, they sent me the message that I was supposed to kiss Amber. This was the time, you know. Amber wanted me to kiss her, but like we didn't communicate about this. It was just Michael looking over at me and saying, "Go for it."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went in for the kiss, and the story goes that he timed it. I can't remember how many seconds it was. I can't remember what I said, how many seconds it was. You have to go back and listen to the 3 years ago when I told this story.
But Michael timed it.
Yeah. It was multiple seconds. Like, I'm gonna say either 7, 9, or 14. I don't know what I said before, and I was more reliable in telling the story then than I am now, because I haven't thought about it probably much since.
We need to connect with Michael, because Michael plays a pivotal role in my story as well, because I mean, not only was he there with. It wouldn't have been with Anna in 8th grade. That would have been you, or what would have been?
That was me. Yeah, he was with Anna in 7th grade.
Who was he with that night?
Anna.
No, who was he with in 8th grade? My night.
Who is he with? I don't know. He was always with somebody, though.
He's always with somebody.
He had confidence. The thing for me when I revisit the story was that I did it because I felt like I should do it. Like I didn't have a sex drive at the time. I didn't.
Yes.
I was a late bloomer. It came later. I guess no pun intended. But it was like, I got to do this.
You felt pressure. You felt pressure.
Yeah. I mean, it was literally like, you need to.
You felt external pressure. I felt internal pressure, like a geyser. Like a literal geyser.
And it was, it was a long, I remember she was on my right, so I had to go over, and my head tilted to the left, and it was a French kiss. It was like, okay, there's, as I've said many times, I was like, I got to be ready for this. I had practiced on my bedpost.
Right.
It might be a little odd that same bed is still in our house and Lando sleeps in it, but it is painted.
Have you told him that?
No.
Have you showed him which post it was, son? Come here, let me show you something.
It was a round post, and I don't.
A very face-like post.
But it was like a head. It was like making out with a shrunken head.
Yeah, her head was at least 4 times the size of that bedpost. So that was probably difficult to navigate.
And it was just a wood veneer. It was a wood stained wood.
It had no mouth.
But it wasn't white paint like it is now. It's not nearly as kissable. And also the wall in my shower. And this is
so interesting.
This has come up.
I never practiced.
This has come up in conversation recently because of that TikTok where I made out with myself in the mirror.
Yeah.
And it definitely brought back that memory of me making out with my bedpost.
Did you learn anything? I just don't think I would have learned anything.
The shower is better because it's wet. I mean, it's too wet, but at least hey, in a really wet kiss situation, I can still find my way. I
don't know why it never crossed my mind that I needed to practice with a wall.
Because you were so driven and motivated to make out with your girlfriend that like you'd think that you would, but to me it was the pressure of like, I gotta know how to do this. I'm supposed to do this right now. And
yeah, I wasn't thinking about anything other than I felt like I was about to pull back the curtains on the most amazing thing I will ever experience.
It was just all anxiety for me. And it's like, it actually wasn't bad. My recollection of it was that the kiss wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't Amber's first kiss, and she helped me out. carried her weight and more. And there was a clockwise motion to the tongue situation. There was like a circular dance happening in there, and I was like, oh, this is okay. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, there was no internet. You couldn't be searching for how to French kiss. And I didn't have there was no one I would talk about it with. Like,
but there were movies. I think I just went off movies.
But even that, you're not inside of the mouth. You don't know exactly what's happening with the tongue.
You can tell. You can tell there's some tongue exploration going on.
Whenever I looked at that, I was always just too embarrassed to study it. And of course, I didn't watch a lot of movies. I didn't watch all those make-out 80s
That's why
movies.
you had to practice with your shower, because you didn't watch movies.
That is a factor.
There's a lot I'm learning right now.
So it was, the kiss itself was not a bad experience, but like everybody was watching. For someone to be so anxious about it and to feel like, oh, I gotta do it. And then it's like, hey, the entire party, it felt like, was watching. You know, it wasn't even dark. It was just
that's
kind of
weird.
dimly lit. Given all the circumstances, I think I did pretty damn well. I mean, Amber didn't dump me immediately. She didn't dump me because I was a bad kisser. She dumped me because I was just a ball of nerves probably, and I actually wasn't into dating as a 7th grader.
Right.
It was just too early for me, you know?
Right. Well, my experience is a little different.
I'm in my own head.
My experience was a little different. it was dark. There was a fountain. No one was watching.
Because you took her out there.
I had not practiced. I had on my blue Nike sweatshirt. I knew I looked like $1 million. I knew I smelled good. This is before there was such a thing as Axe body spray, but there was deodorant. Right guard.
Okay.
Probably put a little on my neck.
That is like a little blue residue.
That was cologne.
Or a little white residue.
That was cologne in 1991.
Okay.
It was like, I'm gonna put a little bit on my neck.
I mean, we were watching movies with our girlfriends, and then you ask Amber to go outside. All of a sudden, you and Amber just leave.
I knew what I was
and take
up
a
to.
walk, and we're like, oh, okay.
And this is where
see you later.
This is where Michael Juby. I'm going first name, last name now. This is where Michael Juby comes into play. I've got a theory about Michael Juby. Okay.
Does it involve his dad?
No.
Okay, mine does, but go ahead.
Oh,
Just go ahead.
I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say that his dad taught him everything and taught him how to have confidence, which that's true. But
Yeah.
I have a much more complex theory than that.
Okay.
You ever think to yourself,
Sometimes the simpler theories are the more elegant.
you ever think to yourself, man, if I could go back to high school, middle school, whatever, like with the current mind that I have and mentality, right?
Absolutely.
You think about how you would navigate things so differently.
Yes.
And so,
Especially, with this whole ball and nerve situation.
especially in your case.
chill out.
But I actually think the same thing. I mean, I think about things like, man, sometimes I wish I could just go back, even just the way I approached playing basketball.
Sure.
Like, why did I was so stupid about the way I approached it in so many ways. But anyway, I believe that Michael was an adult who was given 3 wishes as an adult.
Oh, you think he did go back?
To go back and live his life over with an adult mind. Because if you think about
that's
it,
right.
every conversation you ever had with him, every choice that he made,
It's like, man, you're right.
he's like,
You're mature.
this dude is playing this game of life like it's a game. And like he knows how to win it.
Yeah.
It's like he's not intimidated by stuff. And he was a year younger than us because he had skipped a grade. When he came back as an adult, he decided, I'm also going to skip a grade.
Because I'm impatient.
He was a year younger than us.
Yeah.
But yet he was navigating all these things and then telling us, and what he told me.
And in high school, he was dating women 2 years and 3 years older than him.
Yeah, he was dating the girls that every guy in the school wanted to date. And he just showed up and was like, well, I'm gonna date them now because I am an adult. I have been sent from the future. That is the only explanation.
Oh my gosh.
It works, doesn't it?
That's right.
We need to call him.
Because Juby is maybe he's an alien. That's an alien name.
It's made up. It's not, yes.
You ever heard anybody whose last name is Juby? Juby?
Yeah, that's definitely a name. He was asked, what do you want your name to be? Juby. He just, it's like, the only thing I can think of
When
right
I
now.
take human form and travel in the past. So he was an alien who lived a life and then went back and relived it.
Or he was given 3 wishes as an adult, and he was like, I only need one, and it's to
all
go
of the
back,
above.
It's to go back with this mind and relive my life. That's my theory. And what Michael told me, he just was like, you know, you just got to be relaxed, and you need to make it count, and you need to literally count. Right? Like he wanted me to count how long the kiss was so I could report back.
Yeah, he counted for me.
And because he wasn't there, I lost heart, I guess, at 7 seconds.
But you did have this conversation with him.
Yeah.
Huh. I never had that conversation.
He told me the things, he had a connection to Dunn, right? Because I think his parents were like members of the Shakora Country Club or something, and there was like a connection to Dunn. Actually, I think his mom was she was teaching at Triton, right?
That's right, that was it.
And so Dunn was like the city, right? They had a movie theater, which I also kissed Amber at. But they had a Chinese restaurant.
They had an interstate.
Right. It's the crack capital of the world.
Yeah, I think there was a crack problem.
But he had this insight into what the kids at Dunn Middle School were doing. And when he told me what the kids at Dunn Middle School were doing.
Yeah, like sex in the hallways type stuff?
I just realized that I was way behind the curve. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there was things happening. People were discovering things about each other's bodies in ways that us kids in Bowie's Creek didn't know was even possible. So when he told me these things, I was just like, whoa, okay, all right, Dunn. Dunn sounds like a lot for me, and I want it all, right? I want it all. But that sounds like too much. I'm glad I'm in Bowie's Creek.
Okay.
So when presented with the actual opportunity, what it amounted to was a 7-second, wet.
Oh, okay. Well,
kiss.
then I'm gonna go with 9 for me then.
But there were many more seconds after that, literal seconds. Not that night. In fact, that night I kept it. No, I think I did it again. I can't remember. I have this. It just popped into my head. I think I have a memory of being like
first kiss had a second kiss right after.
Yeah, I think so. Regardless, there were more kisses afterward, and never went to Dunn, but except to the movie
you
theater.
visited Dunn. you didn't go to school in Dunn. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, right. But what you like that theory about Michael Juby? We got to call him. I think we could get him to admit it.
Yeah. Were you an alien and sent from the? I think it's all of it. Not an alien.
Alien seems unnecessary because aliens need to be educated. This is a man who had already lived a life.
He went back and did it.
Yeah.
Did it right. So much confidence. Quiet confidence.
It took us a while to get to your stories.
Carrie Green responded to our prompt about first kisses. I was at Six Flags with a group of friends. We ate some greasy food, then rode a crazy spinning ride, then rode a ride called The Cave. A boy I liked leaned over and kissed me. And then he immediately threw up over the side of the car we were riding in. Never lived that down. Yeah, that's a tough first kiss.
That's traumatic.
Yeah, that's traumatic when your first kiss makes the guy sick. Or it could have been everything else that you listed before that.
I believe it was, but
at
you know at the time that you're taking that and you're applying it to yourself.
We have another vomit story. Breezy, cheesy_breezy. I was camping with my best friend's family and her dad had recently remarried. Her new stepbrother had been flirting all day and then suddenly lunges at me. The sudden lunge is not cool.
No.
That's not cool. And puts his tongue so far down my throat that I promptly gagged and threw up on him.
Okay.
Wasn't my finest moment.
Okay. I'm not a forensic scientist. This is an unusually long tongue and or an unusually sensitive gag reflex.
Well, I mean, it might be the thought of there's a tongue that's been thrust into my mouth by surprise. So that can make you gag even if it wasn't like deep.
Because I mean, can somebody get their tongue all the way back to a place where you'd choke on it? I mean, maybe like a Gene Simmons. I mean, maybe it was this Gene Simmons.
I think if you really do the 90-degree angle on the mouth, like the two mouths are totally, opposed, you could really, like a mouth-to-mouth situation, and then you're really wide, like snake jaw wide.
But that's the kind of thing that requires the cooperation of two people, and she doesn't seem like she was cooperating. And yeah, it's not, I mean, it's not cool at all when...
You don't want to take anybody by surprise. I mean, if you're in kindergarten and you want to steal a kiss under,
I think that there are certain circumstances in which, I'm talking about the first time you kiss somebody. There are circumstances in which it's obvious everything about the environment and everything about the signals that you're giving to each other and everything that you're saying to each other leads you to believe that it is okay to kiss this person.
If you're longingly looking into each other's eyes for a prolonged period of time and you're having a romantic conversation, there's ways to...
But I do think that, just asking permission is the way to go here.
Oh yeah. Well,
and I think
you did that.
I did that with Amber, and it wasn't because it was
taught.
It wasn't because consent was a buzzword at the time. I mean, obviously it was in my mind. I wasn't gonna do anything that she didn't want. I think in my mind it was more, I just want her to be ready. Like it felt like it actually, once you ask the question, then you have to do it. I think is what was happening in my mind. Is like, can I kiss you? And when she says yes, it's like, well, it's easier to ask, can I kiss you, than it is to just go in and kiss somebody. That's what I was thinking. Mm-hmm. But in a roundabout way, I actually ended up asking for consent, which I'm proud of. It wasn't a pure motivation, but I think that is the clearest way forward, is to ask.
Speaking of which, BYM Beth said, I went to badminton club in high school. Okay, your club.
All right.
Your high school had a badminton club? I went to the club with a boy I was dating. We were both really nervous to have a first kiss. So we made a bet that whoever lost the game had to make the first move. See, this is taking communication and then instead of making it awkward, just owning it and having some fun with it.
Well,
I really like this.
Here's the thing about badminton. First of all, the thing that you're hitting is called a shuttlecock.
Yeah, so everybody's horny.
It's already sexual. And it's a co-ed sport. It's already, so it's the perfect recipe. And a lot of people think.
And you're like inches from each other's face the whole time.
Really?
No, there's a net separating. I
was thinking like, are we thinking about the same thing? You were joking. A lot of people think that all the business that's happening is happening with like the football team and the cheerleaders. No. It's the badminton club.
Oh,
it's the drama club. It's the theater kids.
Oh yeah.
That's where all the hanky panky is happening.
Oh yeah, okay, so to finish this one, and then the next one supports this. She said he lost the badminton match, but afterward he spent 20 minutes pacing up and down saying he was nervous. Well, okay, that's when, once you had talked about it and you reach an agreement, then it's like, you just gotta go for it. You can't be dancing around the ledge, you gotta jump off.
Right.
So she said that she just kissed him first.
Well, because you'd already established that was what was gonna happen. But there's something about it.
You should build it up because that's fun, but you don't want to build it up so much that like you're paralyzed.
Right. But I want to dig into this theory a little bit because I think I'm onto something. And now we weren't theater kids, we weren't drama kids.
Or band kids. So I'll read this one because
band
this
kids,
is not band.
Big time.
Sarah A. Mine was in high school. He asked me to meet him in the band room.
Oh, you know what's gonna happen in
up
there.
Up the stairs towards the practice rooms.
He's gonna show you his instrument.
Where he told me to close my eyes because he had a surprise for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The surprise was him kissing me. We're married with 2 kids now. Damn, that was fast.
Okay, I mean, I'm not gonna comment on, I'm glad that you're married with kids now. And again, I think this is a different time. I would not advise this technique.
Yeah,
I would not advise this technique now.
Yeah, I think you got to be a little bit more open. You can't say go here and close your eyes.
Right.
Go hide and close your eyes.
Yeah. Now, like, okay, to get back to this theory though, because again, there's this sort of cultural narrative that you got the jocks and they're doing these things and people are looking up to them, but like they're just hanging out with each other all day. You know what I'm saying? Like it's these places where people are mixing with each other, and especially when you get into drama and theater, and now you're actually like, you know, you're revealing things about yourself. You're having to dig deep into yourself and like access your emotions for the sake of the art. That is just, you add hormones into that.
Vulnerability.
That is, I mean, and
blowing on horns.
I mean, yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah. Band is so sexy when you think about it. I mean, you think about what's happening. People are just taking these instruments and putting them in their mouths. They're getting the reeds wet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're good with the mouth.
They're doing dexterous things with their fingers and their mouths at the same time. I mean, this is foreplay if there is foreplay. I'm just saying. And parents need to think about this.
Yeah.
When you buy that trumpet for your kid, you need to understand what's about to happen.
Do you know how you play a trumpet though? So if you put your lips up to someone like you're playing a trumpet, it would just be like mouth farting into their mouth.
I really think it's the woodwinds that are the sexiest.
Yeah, so
because you got to put your tongue out just a little bit and just you gotta,
that Kenny G thing.
Yeah. I mean, the saxophone. The reason the saxophone is the sexiest instrument is not because of the sound. It's because of the reed and all the things that you can touch. I mean,
that's it.
You could spend a lifetime exploring all the new ways to caress a saxophone. It's so complex. Whereas a trumpet is just like three things in a sound.
Hey,
you know,
if you know how to work those 3 buttons, you can get some magic.
Now a trombone is a little different.
In and out.
Yeah. The trombone motion is the most sexual of all the instrument motions.
Right. You put your mouth on it and then you go in
and you pump.
You pump. Yeah.
Wow. You're not doing that on the football field. No. You're just catching a ball over and over again.
And even if you just want to think about a flute, now
I'll think about a flute.
You're not getting it wet and you're not wrapping your lips around it, but you're delicately blowing across the opening.
That's still sexy.
Oh yeah.
The woodwinds, I'm telling you, the woodwinds. The drums, what about what about the bass drum? The guy who just sits back in the back and just boom, just hits that.
Someone will make out with it. Don't feel too sorry for the guy.
I mean, he's the loudest one there. If he screws up, everybody knows it immediately.
Hey, but sports, you get sweaty. I love the fact that when we put out this prompt that members of the Mythical Kitchen responded. Nicole responded and said, I had my first kiss at a park after my first day of sports summer camp.
Okay, sports can be sexy, I guess.
My mom found out and I wasn't allowed to go to camp anymore.
Well, and then right under this, Trevor, also one of our members of the Mythical Kitchen.
They call him an intern, but he's not.
He's not.
It's just.
He responds to Nicole, it was right after watching Napoleon Dynamite, we finished the movie and she was like, do you want to kiss now?
I love that. You know, I love a woman who's just like, do you want to kiss now? Because I'll be like,
hold on, but
you know what? Yes.
Do you feel like you need to clarify the fact that this is made up from Trevor? This did not actually happen?
What do you mean? Why? It's not made up. I can see that happening. Do you want to kiss now? Like when a movie's over, it's like, well, you want to kiss now?
Oh, I thought that because you had put it under here, I thought that Trevor was replying to Nicole's
saying that he kissed Nicole.
Yeah,
no,
just trying to be funny. But he put his own story.
Yeah,
in
it's
there.
his own
that
story.
Makes a lot more sense.
Napoleon Dynamite's a weird. I mean, it's at that age when you're really wanting to have to really start kissing. It doesn't matter what movie it is. It's just, you know, as long as it's a movie.
Well, do you remember, this was not my first kiss, but it was my first kiss with a particular girl. You were there, and it was during a movie.
You got to give me more information. During a movie?
It was...
what What movie?
The girlfriend that your girlfriend was friends with introduced me to. And then we went down to her cousin's house or something. The three of us went down to meet her.
Okay.
For like the first time.
Yeah.
And the first night, and it had kind of been arranged, like, okay, you guys are going to be interested in each other. I know you and I know you. And so it was kind of like our first date.
I do remember that night, but I don't remember the specifics. Yeah, like me and my girlfriend, this was junior year in high school. Like her best friend was like, oh, Rhett would be great with her. And then you guys did you start talking on the phone or something? But it was definitely an arranged.
I met her for the first time that night. In my memory, I don't know if my memory is correct.
Yeah, my girlfriend set you up with her best friend who lived 2 states south, and we had to drive down there to see her.
No, we didn't drive to Georgia. We drove to like Wilmington because her cousin was in Wilmington.
But what are you talking? And so that night, the first night you met, you were making out with her.
Yes. I work quickly.
Well,
I'm a professional. But do you remember the movie that we were watching?
No. What movie was it?
Helen Hunt.
You talking about the tornado movie? Twister?
Twister.
It was Twister?
Twister. We were watching Twister.
Twister, that's romantic.
But I don't know, I mean, it didn't matter what movie we were watching. I was like, well, this is gonna happen at some point. But you know, for some reason, and maybe that's just because I'm a student of the cinema. I wanted to kiss her so bad, but I was kind of into Twister. And I was like, once the kissing starts,
you've kind of
lose the plot.
Bill
Paxton, he was great in that.
Yeah.
And the effects, for the time, the effects were great.
So when did you kiss her?
During the credits.
Oh, during the credits. That's good. I think that's best.
So a similar situation to Trevor here.
The movie's over, do you want to kiss now?
Right.
Or once Napoleon Dynamite starts dancing, it's a long dance.
But we had done lots of hand holding and my arm was around her. And again, we just met. But it was like, everybody knew that it was coming
had hit it
at
off
some point.
And you'd built it up. It wasn't the first time you had talked.
I believe it was.
Oh, really?
I don't think I talked to her on the phone. She was like.
But then you guys dated for.
A year and a half.
A year and a half?
Yep.
Really? And she, long distance for a year and a half?
Yeah, I would.
You would just go down to Georgia and visit her, or she would come up and visit you and stay with my girlfriend because they were best friends.
Yep.
And they were best friends because she had lived in Bowie's Creek and then moved away.
Yeah, well, I mean, I knew her when she was, I knew of her when she was a kid, when I was a kid. Yeah, that long distance, we can do a whole episode on long distance relationships. That was a whole thing, like driving to see your girlfriend. But
when you talk about the bold moves, Troy Wood, he said, it was in the back seat of my girlfriend's parents' car with her parents still in the front seats. No way in hell would I think about kissing a girl with the parents in the front seat. I just couldn't bear the thought of I don't know.
I do that.
I told you the story of holding, I think it was Amber's hand at the baseball game and then your mom seeing it and me being embarrassed. It's I don't know why I was so embarrassed about having a girlfriend, didn't want to admit that to my family because I didn't any question about that would just embarrass me even more. It's just, I try to talk to my kids about, whatever it is that is part of development. I just try to talk about it in a normal way because I really don't want them to think that, I don't want to do anything to build up things for them to make them more anxious.
I mean,
because my blood runs through their veins.
I think you can only tell them so many things.
Sure.
I think kids are going to be
who
they are.
And by not talking about it, for me, I think it set up this thing was oh, this is secret. And when you're a little kid and if you're kissing, then it's like, you kind of instinctively know, it's like, oh, we can't tell anybody about this. Or like Nicole's mom saying she can't go to the camp anymore because there's no telling what you're gonna do. Or I don't know what her reasons are, but it's like, oh, this is something to keep secret or to be ashamed of.
I never kissed a girl in the back seat of a car while her parents were in the front seat. But I do remember a girl I was dating my freshman year in high school. Her parents were driving us around and we were in the back seat and we were holding hands. And then when her parents got out, we went to the grocery store.
It's like something. Walmart. I remember this because you told me.
Walmart. They went in and we stayed in the car and just made out. And the windows start fogging. I mean, when you make out in a car, the windows fog up. And so we had to like stop, open the door. And this happened a few times.
And I remember you telling me about this, reporting, and I was like, are you kidding me? They could come back at any moment. Yeah. What would you do if her parents came back and saw you making out with their daughter in the car?
Well, most of the time when you're in that situation, the person who is the daughter or son of the family that you're interacting with, they know the deal. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, she didn't say like, my parents would kill me if they knew we were kissing in the back seat.
Yeah, obviously.
So
she was comfortable enough with their response to.
My impression of her parents is that they knew what was going on. But I do want to quickly talk about, there's an infamous story. We will not mention any names.
Okay.
But there is an infamous story of somebody that we went to high school with. And again, this is probably just one of those rumors that happens, but it was a rumor that we all thought was awesome at the time. He was a few years older than us.
No, this was are you talking about, we had a friend who had an older sister. Is that the story you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about a guy who was 2 or 3 years older than us. Maybe he was a senior when we were a freshman, but the story goes is that he was in the back seat with his girlfriend while her parents were driving, and they completed the act.
They had sex.
They had full sex.
Oh gosh, I don't even remember that story because it was such a load of bullshit.
He and she, according to my sources,
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Confirmed it. Well, when I tell you who it was later, when this podcast is over, and I tell you who the guy was and who the girl was, you might be like, okay, maybe it did happen. I'm just saying. It is one of those things that's probably not true, but if it was true, it would be them who did it.
Listen, okay, now this is a different subject matter. If we're gonna talk about first, we have to save like losing your virginity as like a different podcast.
That's a different podcast. Okay.
We can talk about that as a different podcast.
That's quite a teaser.
Sammy Larber tweeted, I don't know why I put such a pregnant pause in there.
I think it's Lauber.
My first kiss was a lovely man who soon after realized he preferred men to me. Mm-hmm. Don't take it personally, Sammy. I would say he preferred men to all women, I guess is what you're saying. I had driven us home from a party. In my parents' driveway next to my minivan, he kissed me. I wish I could make the squeaky noise it made. He pulls back and he asks.
It's like blowing on a trumpet.
He pulls back and asks, where do I put the tongue? I think, communication. I'm a huge fan of communication.
Where do I put the tongue? Well, there's only a few places.
If you, yeah. Or what do you do with the tongue? Okay, it's like, again, I didn't know. Again, it's like you thought you knew by looking at movies, but there's never any, it's not an endoscopy. You're never inside of the mouth. You don't know for sure. It's like, you can do a rotation motion.
I think.
Is it an in and out? Is it a down? I think
this is how our minds work differently, right? When I thought about kissing as a 14-year-old, it didn't strike me as there was a correct way to do it. Like that, the fact that there's a correct way to do it is not something that's not the first thing that pops into my mind about much of anything, right? It's more that there is an opportunity to do it. Just start doing it. You'll figure it out is kind of the way that I approach it. And some things you get into some trouble with that, right? Because there is a right way to like change a tire.
Well,
there's a right way to.
There's a thing called dumb luck. Well, I think there's also a thing called dumb confidence. And I think that's what you had.
Well,
it's just like thinking that I'll just start kissing and it'll work itself out. It's like, I envy that.
No, what I'm saying is that you have, this is the point I'm making. There's a difference between changing a tire and kissing, right? Kissing is like, you're getting into the like, do I do the tongue like this? Well, sure. Do I do the tongue like this? Also, yes. Do I do the tongue? You can do the tongue however you want because it's like an art form. It's not a mechanical thing that has rules that somebody came up with that you have to subscribe to.
Did anybody, but it seems like you had a conversation with Michael Juby about this.
I'm sure I did.
See, I didn't have any conversation with anybody about this because it was taboo.
Well, I understood that Michael was an adult from the future who had 3 wishes granted and he had come back to visit us and I tapped into his wisdom.
I mean, if you're gonna overthink it or just think it through, you need to be with somebody that you can feel comfortable talking about it. Like, hey, these are the questions that I have. Where do I put the tongue? And them not to laugh in your face.
And some kids have that kind of relationship with their parents. Some kids have that kind of relationship with with an older brother or sister.
Yeah.
It doesn't always happen the same way, but I do think that
sometimes it doesn't happen at all, and that was my case.
Right. But if you had been, and we weren't talking about it. The interesting thing is that I wasn't going to ask you for advice, and you weren't going to ask me because we didn't know. We were going to ask Michael Juby.
But I didn't ask him that. And when by the time we were in high school, and like, I knew how to make out, by that point. But when you were telling me freshman year that you were in the back seat in the Walmart parking lot making out in broad daylight, was it daylight?
Yeah.
It was daylight.
It was like 2 p.m.
Wow. I was just like, man, that's far out, man.
But don't you wish you could go back?
Oh yeah.
As an adult man?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that sounds horrible. That's not what I meant. Do you wish you could go back with the mentality? And I try to, and I'm not just talking about so you could kiss people. I'm just saying that so that you cannot be crippled.
Life.
You cannot be crippled by, you were crippled by anxieties about, am I doing things right? I had my own anxieties about like the pressure to perform and like I have to do this and I have to follow these rules. I have to be the best at this and this and this in order to receive love. It's like if I could go back and realize like no, you don't have to play by those rules. Like
yeah, that's the thing. I didn't follow my heart. I followed the rules.
Yeah, and I definitely followed the rules.
And if you just follow, but you followed your heart a lot too. You were driven. I don't know if it was your heart. Maybe it was your wiener.
Well, yeah, it was in certain circumstances. I wouldn't say
the rules weren't. You had to impose the rules over it, but like I couldn't get it. The rules were so firmly.
I just think the rules were different from me. Like but I was following the rules. But my rules were.
You were very frustrated.
You have to do these things well in order to be worthy of love. I think and I think that you thought you have to do these things correctly in order to be worthy of love.
Yeah.
And so again, it goes back to the oneness and the threeness of our Enneagram numbers. But so when you look back on it, I was super motivated and did a lot of things and I did enjoy myself. I had a lot of fun.
You did a lot of things. You want to list them out?
Well, no, I'm just saying that like I took that drive and I applied it and I kept trying to find the next thing. So I wasn't paralyzed. I was actually super driven to do things, but I wasn't finding the love that I was seeking by doing those things. But I was doing a lot of things. But when it came to kissing, I wasn't, it was pure, I wasn't trying to accomplish anything other than I was like, this seems like the reason I'm here. You know, it's like, this seems like the most amazing thing that there is in life, is how I thought about it as a teenager. And so I was like, okay, I need to put myself into circumstances where I can do this. I was preoccupied with it, for sure.
I think even when I enjoyed making out with my girlfriends, there was just a lot of other baggage that complicated it. So it was never like, oh, this is a pure form of enjoyment.
I mean, I felt guilty as hell the whole time.
Yeah.
So that complicated it. Kept me out of trouble, I'm sure, but just my very evangelical worldview at the time, which again was for somebody like me with my mentality, was also a prophylactic, right? You know, because it prevented me from just being completely led by that mentality. But I still enjoyed it. It's just, you feel guilty after the fact.
Strange times. I think but just to go back to like just the sweet purity of a first kiss.
Let's go back to that.
I think it's just it can be sweet, right? And I think so I think if I would do it again, it would be much sweeter. It wouldn't be in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, that's one thing.
Hey, let's step outside. I mean, later, behind the Oasis, like the Campbell University Student Center, like in between the dumpsters, I think that was the first place Anna and I kissed. My
in between the dumpsters,
my third girlfriend. It's like, boy, it's like
good spot.
It really stinks at a dumpster. It's not a great place to make out.
But no one's going to show up.
But yeah, not many people are going to show up.
That
was better.
The interesting thing is, again, like when I talked about the whole asking, can I kiss you? It wasn't because I was like being super considerate. It was more just like, this seems like what I'm going to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the circumstances of the kiss, it was at night. I had planned on it. She knew that it was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was somewhat romantic. It wasn't too extreme.
There was a fountain.
There was a fountain. I asked permission. All those things. I actually feel like, okay, that's how I'm. It's one of the memories
regrets.
I look
That's
back
good.
and I'm like, I don't have any regrets about that. I don't have any regrets about my first kiss. It's a good story. I'm happy with how it turned out.
I'm happy with how this conversation turned out. Do you have a recommendation? We got to get back into that. It's your turn.
I do. My family and I recently watched a movie that I think has been out for, it may be out for 2 years, but if you're like me, you did not see it originally. And that is, It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, the Mr. Rogers story, with Tom Hanks playing Mr. Rogers.
I keep waiting for the right time to watch it because I know I'm going to cry.
What a wonderful movie. What a wonderful movie to watch with your family.
Oh, yeah?
We watched it as a family, and everyone was crying by the end of it, which that doesn't always happen to all four of us. I mean, it doesn't take anything to make me cry in a movie, but.
Did you decide, hey, we're gonna watch this movie tonight and we're gonna cry? Did they know it was coming too, or?
No, well, I mean, we knew that it would be a sweet movie. It's not always easy to get my boys to watch a movie like It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, but I saw an opening and I was like, no one's gonna die in this movie, so prepare yourself to be disappointed. There's no explosions, but it's just, I mean, you already know, because I think you watched the documentary about Mr. Rogers, just how significant of a life he lived and all the things that he stood for. But the way that they captured it in a narrative form, and Tom Hanks is great, of course, but just the format, the way that they decided to format it and tell the story was just very compelling. So
okay.
Just watch it.
I'll have to watch
it. Highly recommend it.
Do you think, like at some point during the movie, Christy and I can just start making out?
I would wait until the credits.
Okay.
But the credits, if I remember correctly, are actually pretty cool. And you'll be in an emotional state where kissing is probably not on your mind. So maybe just do Twister. Do Twister. Watch Twister. Make it a double feature. Watch Twister first.
Okay.
Make out
in front of my children.
And then start It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And then you won't want to kiss anybody. You just want to hug everyone.
Hashtag Ear Biscuits, let us know your first kiss story or how you processed any of this. Let's keep the conversation going. And let's keep this going. No more breaks in the near future.
Well, I mean, at some point there will be.
In the near future.
Yeah, right. But where are we going to be with you every week? Same time, same place.
Maybe not.
Maybe this place for a while. We'll see
know.
how things turn out.
To watch more Ear Biscuits, click on the playlist on the right.
To watch the previous episode of Ear Biscuits, click on the playlist to the left.
And don't forget to click on the circular icon to subscribe.
If you prefer to listen to this podcast, it's available on all your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks for being your mythical best.